Welcome to 5-Star Weekly. The saga continues for our center back search. Will it finally get a good resolution? We get into all that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5-Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Mark. And wherever it is you get your pods, subscribe, share, and leave us a good rating. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. Atlanta United streamed a scrimmage on Saturday, so let's recap it all. It was a 6-1 aggregate total score over Charleston Battery in this training exercise. But we saw a lot of players score, including Ezequiel Barco twice, Eric Lopez as well, Machop Chol, Kubo Torres, and Lennon all got on the score sheet. And personally, I thought it was very, very interesting to see the pretty much in terms of Gabriel Heinze, the type of style that we were expecting that they would play. It pretty much showed that it was going to be high pressing, it was going to be good combination play, and we were going to be tidy in our possession, but also in kind of how we were taking care of the ball. And I thought that was all on show, even though there were kind of spurts of rustiness and also maybe just the lack of cohesiveness overall. But it's kind of what you can expect from the second pretty much friendly or training exercise that they called for this. It was 4 30-minute quarters, and so definitely is a little bit not as usual of what people are used to watching. But I think, personally, seeing all that, we got to see more of the players that we maybe didn't get to see very much, or that they were new, and we got to pretty much get a glimpse into more of their playing style. And that very first starting 11 included Rocos Rios Novo, the kind of academy goalkeeper that came from Lanús, but now is given a very large opportunity, it seems like, to start the game, pretty much. But also Jack Gurr, George Campbell, Miles Robinson also started in that first 11, Mikey Ambrose. It was definitely more of a kind of a split squad type of some starters in the first one, and then some starters in each other quarter. But Hyndman and Sosa filled out that central midfield, as well as Barco, as we were pretty much alluding to last week, that yes, it seems like Moreno is more on the left this year instead of his customary in the middle of central midfield. But Jurgen Damm was on the right, Licha Lopez was up top, and Moreno as well on the left. So, and then also in that kind of second half of pretty much the third 30-minute quarter, was Guzan starting. It was Lennon on the right as right back. It was DeJohn and Walks, and as the central defenders, Bello as that left back. It was Abdoulaye Diop in as one of the defensive midfielders, as well as Franco Ibarra, the new boy, and Tyler Wolff as well was in the midfield as well, centrally. And Chol was on the left. Jose Martinez made an appearance, our boy, the king, up top, and Jake Mulroney was on the right. Pretty much every player except for Jackson Conway and Mateus Rossetto took part in this training exercise. Unfortunately, Gabriel Heinze did not speak to the press after that, and so there's no kind of reason why, actually, that we know for why Rossetto and Conway were not taking part. But all in all, what were your thoughts on the scrimmage, and any takeaways, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, like, as you alluded to, I think you had to expect some rustiness. Obviously, a little bit of an inauspicious start, giving up first team. But you look at these lineups. So I thought it was actually pretty interesting that Rios started with the first group. I thought, just for him personally, maybe that's like sort of a psychological boost, or if a show of good faith, essentially. This is clearly the prospect I think that the club is excited about and wants to develop to be to maybe one day take over for Guzan full time. Campbell getting the start in the first game, I thought he looked pretty decent. And depending on how things go in terms of the center backs, and how we're able to address that position, which we'll get to, he may have a big role to play. I mean, if you think about it too, the way Campbell's being brought along overall for his career, it's not too dissimilar from Miles Robinson. Miles didn't play at all in 2017. Got a couple starts in 2018 and 2019. He was when Frank de Boer came in, he was a starter from day one. So we'll see if Campbell, is able to earn some playing time and really show what he can do. Obviously, for signing Sosa, I guess all you can really say is he seems to be as good as advertised so far. Again, rustiness. Again, it's early, it's preseason, but you like what you saw. Obviously, you don't want to see like the opposite of that, which would be, I guess, kind of him flopping. But he didn't do that, obviously. That is an interesting lineup with Bark being in midfield and Moreno being on the left, and then we also saw Licha Lopez. And I think you and I have definitely alluded to this as well in past episodes. He is going to need to play. We can't expect Joseph to kind of pick up where he left off. Obviously, coming off an ACL surgery, the club has to be responsible with him, and so he looked good. He looked sharp. I think those would probably be my takeaways. Barco scored a beautiful free kick, which I don't care. I don't care if it's a training session or a game or what. That's just a gorgeous free kick. So
off the post.
It's just oh gosh, yeah, exactly. I think it was like the short side of the goal too, if I remember correctly. And so, to beat the keeper from that angle, really good strike. It just goes back to we've seen the flashes before from Barco. We know what he's capable of, and it's exciting to see it, and hopefully he's able to translate that into consistent production in the league. But yeah, in terms of the first 60 minutes, I guess those are probably my main takeaways. In terms of this, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think we need to put this caveat out there that Charleston Battery had pretty much 2 training sessions before this, so they were very gracious to pretty much grace us with their time, and essentially, they looked off it, that's for sure, but it definitely was as well. A lot of those players were not match fits, and they played far longer minutes than a lot of our players did. So, I think it's less of the scoreline here that should be noted. I think it's more that, what chances were we fashioning? What kind of style were we really playing? And I think a lot of us saw that it's something that's a lot more exciting than what we were previously having to experience in yesteryear. But yes, your second 60 minutes. What were your thoughts?
King Joseph is back. Ooh, thank God, first and foremost.
Right. Didn't get too involved, unfortunately, but
you're right. And probably has to get his legs back a bit. He's got to. I mean, it's been over a year now since he played, so
pretty much only played 30 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. It seemed like the second group had, I guess, fewer projected starters. But I thought Walks looked decent. Bello, I am definitely excited to see what he can do with Ence in this system.
Left back to left back.
Yeah, right. And then Chol, I mean, he was so smooth. I didn't know what to expect from him. I wasn't sure what kind of player he was, other than he's a winger. But he looks so natural with the ball, making runs in behind, running with the ball, doing the step overs. I thought his goal was really well composed. So
And
yeah,
also, he's a
exciting
beast. He's a beast of a human being as well. Like, massive.
Yeah, no, like one of the points I made on Twitter is like my favorite kind of players are like the tall guys who are like still balanced and not awkward. And that's, that might sound like a backhanded compliment, but it's true. Like in soccer in particular, I think typically you think of your skillful players, especially attacking midfielders, as being on the shorter end. But to have that height and that skill, that's a dangerous combination. And so it'd be interesting to see if he can break into the first team and get some minutes. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who fills in where in terms of roles. Like I think Mulroney has a part to play still for this team. I think like I mentioned, walks before. I think Lennon probably will have a part to play in this team as well. So and of course we got our first signing of Ibarra, and it'll be interesting to see whether he's a starter or if he's gonna play the same position as Sosa. So maybe there's a bit of rotation. Who knows? But I found it interesting that Hosetu didn't play at all. And I do kind of wonder what that deal is, whether he's not fit or whether he's just kind of on the outside looking in right now. But I mean, you don't. There's only so much you can take from a preseason matchup, especially against a team that have that much match fitness. But it's fun when it looks like that.
Right, and I think also it's. I mean, some of the like two goalkeepers that also didn't play a part as well, in Alec Can and Ben Lundgaard. So there definitely is maybe people are looking too much into players that didn't take a part as well, but in terms of that second 30 or second 60 minute, Abdoulaye Diop, who was one of the pretty much LA United 2 players that were taking parts, but also a bunch of academy players also did as well. Lamb also took part. That both of them had some assists in tow with some of those goals at the end in terms of for Kubo Torres and Brooks Lennon. I mean, that Brooks Lennon goal was well taken. Oh, yeah, he had one that bounced off of the crossbar that probably, if VAR was actually on during it went in. It bounced in and out of the goal essentially, but so he arguably could have had 2, Lennon, and that's really great from pretty much him playing right back in this game. So he was definitely getting forward and into some good scoring positions for sure. But also I think it's that Diop is probably a little bit more defensive minded, and Hosetu, he's definitely more of that kind of attacking midfielder. That's probably maybe isn't being prioritized possibly, or so there is some interesting things that could be on the horizon for Hosetu, depending on if we can get some roster moves that we want or not. But also Ezekiel Barker, like you mentioned, I think eye for goal that he was having in this, like he looked very hungry. He looked very much like a guy that is a man on the mission type of thing for sure. Licha Lopez, definitely, I think the way that that first group in the first 60 minutes played together, it was definitely more centrally. It was definitely more through Sosa, through Licha Lopez to link the play. Licha Lopez definitely came deeper, and that allowed the likes of Moreno, Dom, Barco to, and then later on Eric Lopez to get forward. And you saw through Eric Lopez's goal how that press would work. You definitely, if you lose the ball quickly, you try and get the ball again, counter press them, and Lopez to Lopez. I mean, it's hopefully something we get to see a good bit of often this year. But I mean, I think all in all, it's you don't take away too much from this game, but it's just, I think, overall, there's that style, there's that system that we are encouraged by, very much so, that Hainsey, also afterwards, after the game, held another training session to probably hammer home some of those things that he didn't like out of the game. And where maybe a team that was a little bit more, further along would be able to punish us for those mistakes. So, I don't mind that he didn't really take a part in kind of, a conference, press conference with the media afterwards, and was able to work on more things with the squad. So, any parting thoughts on that scrimmage that we saw?
Well, to allude to something that you brought up, certainly we want to see the counter pressing, right? The winning the ball high up the pitch. I think that was what was missing from the Boers Atlanta United, and I think that would be more in tune with the style we've been accustomed. I think it just makes good sense. I think the best time to attack is when a team's defense is not really set. When they're still sort of scrambling, and so definitely want to see more of that. And I was just thinking, because you mentioned the extra training session, a scrimmage between those two lineups would have been interesting. Probably would have been more competitive, right? So, but no, I mean it's a good sign. Like you said, you can't take too much from this scrimmage, but so far so good.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, yeah, those teams probably have been playing each other a good bit through training, and that's when you see different, different types of opposition, then you can really kind of know how to adjust the squad a little bit, adjust the 11, and that's probably, the good part about both of those types of kind of training exercises. But let's wrap a bow on that and move on to the transfer saga of Alan Franco. We definitely have been taken through some twists and turns, for sure. It's, so we'll just kind of walk through it just a little bit because it's been a thing. I mean, Alan Franco has been linked with us for a minute now, and then, it was off. Because Brazilian side Sao Paulo apparently came in for him, made a better offer than what we had in terms of $2.8 million for 50% of his rights. It was a $4 million for 80% of his rights, apparently. Anyway, even though it was Cesar Luis Merlo that reported this, yes, it was something that it seemed like Atlanta United pretty much called BS on it, and they were like, we're gonna call you on your bluff here, and just wait it out. And so throughout that week, pretty much last week of Wednesday and Thursday, that's when all this news transpired. They waited. They said that apparently, Merlo reported that Atlanta United were moving on, and Independiente probably were sweating at that point because they are in some debt. And, they also owe Torino reportedly $1.8 million. So, yes, they need the money. And, it pretty much, it didn't take long. Saturday night, these journalists love working on, these nighttime shifts or something. They just don't sleep. They don't have a life. But either, anyway, Saturday night, it was reported that LA United will be going with the $2.8 million offer for 50% of his rights, and that he would be traveling next week, and that would be this week. And so, he has since hopped on a plane. He, where he will take a physical in Atlanta, but there are still going to be some details to be resolved, says Matias Martinez. Those details are that he would get, Independiente would get $100,000 if Atlanta United wins MLS Cup, and Franco starts 75% of the games, and also another $100,000 if Franco is chosen amongst the MLS Best 11 in a season. And also for the other 50% of Franco's rights. And also, there's also some other things that happened while he was on his way here. So he unfortunately caught COVID at some point. And yeah, now the deal is going to be fine. It's not going to be affected according to Merlot, but it will be something, or according to Matias Martinez, but it will delay some things, that's for sure. And so him taking his physical, possibly. There also will be sort of that maybe 10-day period that he'll have to wait and make sure that he is no longer COVID positive. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind, I would say. But it's seemingly, if he can pass his physical, we should have Alan Franco through the door. But it might be a little later than we were expecting, and it might be until about April-ish that he is actually able to train, possibly. So, for me, it's been feeling like a little bit like Spinal Tap in terms of their drummer. And if anyone's familiar with that mockumentary, but pretty much their drummer always just continues to die. And it's very, one of those things where, like, we cannot keep pretty much or try to get through the door a center back, apparently. It's just one of those weird things. Previously, it used to be a left back for us because, we had Greg Garza always injured, and then Mikey Ambrose got injured, and then Bello got injured, and so at that point, it's just like, who do we have? It's left back optional, and at least we have some depth in the center back department. Previously alluded to with George Campbell and Anton Walks as well, and of course some of the other prospects. But I mean, between the Hector David Martinez falling through because River came in for his other 50%, between Lautaro Giannetti failing his physical, I mean, it's been an ordeal. So anyway, all that being said, what are your thoughts on what's happening with Alan Franco, Mark?
I swear it's like made for Netflix. Like, you could do a series just on Atlanta trying to buy a center back this offseason. Something you alluded to in the last transfer daily video that you did. Sao Paulo fans were actually confused about that rumor because they were confused as to where the money was coming from, and so like
we can't afford this.
Exactly. So a lot of bluffing, a lot of posturing, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think one thing that always helps the buying team is when the player wants to move, and it seems pretty clear that he wanted to make this move. It appears that promises were made in the past, whatever. He's openly talked about this move as being a big move for him, a big step in his career. He is only 24. I think that Independiente were in a position where they kind of have to get this done. There aren't any other real suitors who can match what Atlanta United is offering right now. So I'm hoping this is it. I mean, the COVID thing, geez, man. Because like that's going to delay his ability to, complete the deal and train and so on. But first of all, hopefully he'll be okay. Yes. Hopefully he won't suffer any serious effects. And then, eventually we'll get that, hope, fingers crossed, we'll get that Darren Neal's cryptic tweet, and then he'll be announced. But I'm done making predictions. I don't know, man. I think this is it, but I really cannot say.
Yeah, definitely knock on all the wood possible for sure for this. But if we can get him through the door, he seemingly is the type of player that we need. Very decent on the ball, very strong in reading the game, and a player that will be very hard-nosed and I think probably pretty decently familiar with Heinze's system, and also the flexibility to be able to play in a 3-man backline and also a 2-man backline. So definitely someone that will be able to help us really as kind of that starting center back that we need. But hopefully, yes, there are no more twists and turns included in this, but we shall have to see, because yes, there will be some other aspects that we'll have to wait on. But anyway, let's move on from that in probably a somewhat related type of deal that LA United made. They announced that they acquired a 2021 international roster slot, and that was from Colorado Rapids in exchange for $225,000 in GAM, or general allocation money. And yeah, it seems like it could be in preparation for Alan Franco's roster spot, or also to open up just another one, because we probably still actually, we need to open up that other one as well. I think we are one player over currently before Franco is even in the team. So, basically, there is another one that we need to open up. Could that be through a green card? Maybe to Anton Walks, maybe Jürgen Damm. But Jürgen Damm did come in halfway through the season last year, so I think my guess is a little bit more that it's Anton Walks. But it also could be, what if a player has to be sold? Maybe those players that are on the fringe, or that are maybe a little surplus to requirements, like I previously alluded to in terms of Mateus Osetu or Jake Mulroney.
Right.
They could be the ones that are sacrificed, maybe traded intra-MLS or something. But it seems like also, because John Gallagher was sold for pretty much about the rate that we gave for this international roster slot, it pretty much seems like that's about the going rate. You sell a John Gallagher and you get an international roster slot. Does that seem a little expensive now, or does that just seem like kind of par for the course, that everyone kind of knew that we were needing an international roster slot as well?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think to a degree it's a bit of, it comes down to value, right? Because there are certainly clubs like Atlanta United and other MLS clubs who really want those international roster spots, who are really going to go out and get those players. And then there are other players who are, they'll focus their moves elsewhere. And so I think this trade makes a lot of sense for both parties. In this case, the other party being the Rapids. And so, excuse me. Yeah, I think it's fair enough, I guess. Like you said, we needed the international roster spot. So,
yeah,
they know that we have it. They know that we have the GAM. I'm gonna miss GAM. He was a wonderful servant to the club. Best of luck to him in his
as
future.
always. Very versatile positionally, but ultimately, they had to go.
Real team player.
Yeah, team player, but their attitude sometimes a little spotty. But anyway, so let's move on to basically the news that Stephen Glass, our interim manager last year, obviously, and now, he went back to being the Atlanta United 2 manager for, at least, in theory. They hadn't really trained very much, I don't think, but now he has been officially named as the new Aberdeen FC manager. He was just named, and Aberdeen fans aren't too happy about this, even though he is a former player of theirs. But there are some things in their current kind of setup that they are not very keen on. One of them being the kind of sister partnership with us as LA United. It seems like, because Dave Cormack also is an Atlanta resident, and he's an LA United season ticket holder, but he's also their president right now, that they think some, a little bit of, it's not collusion, but they're thinking like, there's a little bit of favoritism, a little bit here, friends giving friends jobs. But either way, Glassy has been, I think, speaking of very, very good servants for LA United, he actually truly has been a very good servant for LA United. He was dealt a very difficult card last season, following Frank de Boer's footsteps in terms of having to take on a team without a Joseph, without pretty much two DPs for a large part of the campaign, but also Atlanta United 2 pretty much being more of a developmental squad. Like, he's never really had a full-on, kind of full-strength team to actually manage before. And so in that, he's been able to develop some of our players really well. George Bello definitely, got a large amount of opportunities through Stephen Glass, as well as the likes of maybe a Jack Gurr, who definitely praised him when he was, announced as Aberdeen's manager as well. But, there definitely is, something, I think, in the respect for Aberdeen that's, you can see where they're coming from in terms of their fans. But,
Right.
what do you think of this move for Glass for LA United? And, just at least tangentially.
I'm happy for him, and as I've stated before, like, this would definitely represent a step up in his career. I can't really speak to how Aberdeen operates, so, if fans are frustrated about that, then fair enough. But what I would say is I would not hold Glass's win-loss record against him with the twos or the first team, obviously, like, with the twos, we know what the deal is, that it was more of a developmental team. The lineup changed pretty much week to week. A lot of academy players, a lot of players that would get called up to the first team. And so, he was, that's a difficult situation to manage, and that's not a traditional situation, so to speak. And then, he was an interim, he was fully an interim coach, who was essentially just holding the position down while Atlanta United were doing their search. Excuse me. And he also had one of his best players sold, and they didn't replace him right away. And even though they did eventually go and get Moreno, he has to get acclimated to the league and so on. I think there was sort of a tacit understanding that LA United weren't going to get much out of 2020 once De Boer was let go. So, I think he handled those situations as well as one could reasonably expect. Mm-hmm. And I hope he does well with Aberdeen.
Yeah. I mean, by all accounts, pretty much everyone that has pretty much said a really kind word about Stephen Glass, definitely, like, he seems like a consummate human for sure. Also,
Right.
During my really tough period last year, his wife also reached out, especially on the last day of the season. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win that game, but they were definitely saying some kind words about my situation and really wanting to win it for me as well as Corey's family. And so definitely, I mean, I wish the Glassy family all the best, because they have been, I think, incredible servants to LA United, to Atlanta. But also, I mean, there are, some certain things that I think conversely on the other side, hopefully he learns from some of those things that happened during his stint in Atlanta as the first team manager, handling Ezequiel Barco and the mystery between why he was out the team for such a long period. Hopefully he learns from that, and there will be better communication with the media in those cases that maybe one of their star players for Aberdeen cannot take part. Hopefully there are certain things like that he has learned from. But I mean, all in all, it's basically, Stephen Glass, he's a guy that was promoted from within, pretty much from the academy to the LA 2s to the first team manager for a while. I mean, he definitely really saw us through a period of time, and so definitely a guy that is a big part of our history. So definitely wish him all the best. But it will be very interesting to see who we bring in as the Atlanta 2's manager. Now, we could promote internally, or we could bring somebody else from the outside. But maybe there's someone from the academy that could do the job. I think I would personally want to keep Tony Annan as the academy director and not move him on, because I think he's done a really, really good job, bringing guys in from locally and also, really, I think, developing a lot of these players that are now taking a larger part of, what you see on the first team now. But, what do you think, on, I think final thoughts on Stephen Glass?
I don't know if I have too much to add. I mean, I think that he has some potential. The Aberdeen situation, whatever that situation, it seems it might be a little bit tough. So might be a case of he's going into yet another tough situation. But hopefully he adapts. I think it always helps when the club, you've been there, you understand it, and hopefully he wins over the fans, and hopefully they get results.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, Atlanta United have announced a new sleeve sponsor. As we alluded to last episode, AT&T will be a sleeve sponsor in the 2021 season. Only the 2021 season, though. But Darren Eales did speak about it as saying Atlanta United were one of the few clubs to introduce sleeve sponsorships or partnerships prior to the 2020 season, and they're pleased to be able to continue and explore new partnership opportunities. It seems like this is more before kind of the pandemic-stricken type of things, and hopefully past that we will not have to see these sleeve sponsorships, because this is a slippery slope, like we talked about last episode. It could start to get into...
Oh, you don't like it?
It could start to get into some Mexican jersey territories that, right. 15 sponsorships is a little much. One is good for me.
You don't want to see Sweetwater plastered over the back, and what else?
Yeah.
What else can we get in there?
Right, I know. My favorite is, it's not my favorite. I'm very much tongue-in-cheek here. Philadelphia Union and other teams that have, like, Bimbo on the front of their... it's like, maybe not the best look. Could find a better sponsor. Yeah, it's one of those, like... it starts to get into, like, more embarrassing type of name territory when you, kind of get further down into the depths of, those different types of sponsorships. But anyway, let's move on.
I will say,
go on. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, AT&T is kind of a big, deal.
It's a big
I was... I was a little surprised that actually they were able to get someone, an MLS team was able to pull someone that big. So, I mean, that's cool. Hopefully it means a little more of this.
Yep, a little more green, so we can, pay more of our players, or buy more talent. But anyway, let's move on to Santiago Sosa talking to the media. He explained that his number 5 role or number 6 role for LA United is going to be pretty much bringing more fluidity on both sides of the ball. And we definitely saw a little bit of that during the training exercise. He said that Mercedes-Benz Stadium's wide field plays to Gabriel Heinze's style of play. I think you definitely saw that with Tata Martino as well, that we utilize that space that we can get with a kind of slightly larger field. And also that Sosa claims to be taking English classes so that he can communicate better with all of his teammates. That's good to see, as well as that Santiago Sosa mentioned that there isn't a lot of tactical study on the game so far, but for Alajuelense, it's still a little bit a ways away. Probably more next week. They'll probably be delving into it, but they, as players, recognize that the game is very important. Yeah, I think it's going to start off our season. It's also going to start off our Champions League campaign. It's pretty freaking important, I would say. So good to see that they have prioritized that, at least mentally. But Anton Walks also talked about the team, and he on if any new faces around Atlanta United in the training camp or preseason have stood out to him. He singled out Machop Chol, and I think that's with good reason there. But he said, quote, "Chol's performance the other day speaks for itself. He deserves all the props he's getting right now. That's only a glimpse of what he has to offer." Ooh, yeah, that's a great tease on Chol's ability there, and yeah, it's good to see that he's getting some recognition because yes, I think he was definitely one of those standouts, like Marc was talking about as well. And yeah, let's move on to April 6th. In terms of the stream, it will be streamed on FS1, so you know at least a couple weeks ahead of time that's yeah, where it's going to be. That's amazing. I mean, most of us don't usually know until yeah, whenever, I don't know, but maybe on the day, yeah, usually. But and that's thanks to Rob Usry there, who was checking his on demand there. But also, the Birmingham Legion preseason match will not be live streamed, unfortunately. So only the people that will be going to the game will be able to watch that. So that's very unfortunate. Of course, that time change is now 3 p.m. on that Sunday Eastern time. Moving on from that, it also looked like that Ezekiel Barco, yeah, obviously he's training with the team, and he was apparently, reportedly anyway, according to Santiago Caruso, was called in to the Argentina national team for the U23s roster, but LA United did not release him. I think for obvious reasons. We have a very important start to our campaign that he did not take part with that. But I think obviously maybe later on in the summer when those actual things are happening, he probably will take more part of it. But anyway, let's move on to the kit numbers that pretty much mostly have been revealed. And we're just waiting on Alan Franco, which I would assume would probably take number 6 here. But yeah, you see this on screen currently. Any of these really surprise you? I mean, you have Alex DeJohn with a pretty, yeah, pretty high number there in, or high, but at least, you know, in terms of low number, I suppose is better to say.
Well, in terms of prestige, right.
Right, yeah. Number 3, I would have maybe taken that. George Bello would have taken that number, but you know, more of a traditional.
Or maybe a Miles Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, Miles Robinson, yeah, has worn 6 in the past, but he stuck with his 12. I think maybe for kind of luck reasons, he's maybe sticking with that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we talked about some of these previously, but, yeah, any of these surprise
you? No, not really. I guess you have Sosa taking 5 instead of 6. That seems to be deliberate. Because you know when he was talking about his role, he didn't really describe it as a 6. That position is always, I think, generates a lot of discussion because the defensive midfielder position, that is, because I think it's a constantly evolving position, and then it depends on the tactics of the manager. So yeah, all of that.
Right, Argentina more so calls it the number 5, the libero, and so. It makes sense. But yeah, I mean that to me wasn't too surprising. Go ahead.
Right. I'm glad Machop Chol's taken the number 30. Hopefully he can do that number justice. We don't need to talk about the award before. But other than that, surprises. No, nothing that really jumps out as weird. I mean, like, Setu's number 9, but that's from he's been number 9. Year.
Yeah, that's been strange, but is what it is.
But yeah, no real surprises for me.
Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to Jurgen Damm's TikTok. He has been showing some things behind the scenes in and around the training grounds and also on match days. Or at least our training exercise days and whatnot, friendly days. And yeah, this one in particular was very interesting. I think that, he went through the pretty much training exercise day, and you got to see kind of really behind the scenes. Also, yeah, I mean, something that we don't necessarily always get to see from a player's perspective. So it was very cool that he showed this on his TikTok. I think he's been answering a lot of questions through the off season, and yeah, it's very cool that Jurgen Damm is just so open about all this, and also he's very much it's like he's kind of taken the reins of like a Miguel Almiron in terms of just that really happy-go-lucky character on the team, and he's that guy that is showing even more. I mean, I think Miggy was a little bit more shy, but Jurgen Damm is all about social media, and he's I think very decent player as well. So it's one of those it's very cool to be able to get this behind the scenes from him. But anyway, last bit of news is that Atlanta United 2 have announced their season openers, and we will open the season on the road against Louisville City on April 24th at Lynn Family Stadium, and then our opener at Fifth Third Bank Stadium will be against FC Tulsa on May 19th, and then also at AutoZone Park for the Memphis 901 FC match. It'll be on June 16th. That's also going to be a very interesting match in that I think some of these are going to be very disparate in terms of, there's going to be other matches, I think, sprinkled in, but the fact that we pretty much have a month before we head home in that Atlanta United 2 season, it's going to be fascinating how this Atlanta United 2 season is going to be played. Looks like there's going to be some time between some matches, but, it'll be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, that does it for the news and pretty much the entire show except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, who impressed you most in the scrimmage against Charleston Battery on Saturday and that you're looking forward to seeing more of in 2021? Let us know in the comments below. But guys, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. For Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching.